All right, hi guys, you're in the RST band now, so congratulations, yay. All right, you're moving up, which is awesome. All right, in this band of complexity, the R's, the S's, and the T's, I'm going to be introducing one more of those elements of literature. We're going to also be bringing in the idea of setting and what the big deal is about setting in texts and in stories and the kinds of impact the settings can have. So we're going to talk about 4 things instead of just 3, but I'll try to make it quick. All right, plot. Let's talk about plot. The events of the story the events of the story are going to continue with that same basic plot line. However, we're adding on these complexities, right? So we're going to start with your basic exposition where we're learning about our settings and our characters, right? And then we're going to bump into a main conflict. There will be a main conflict just like there are in your other books, right? And just as in the past level, we're going to see that the plot line rises and falls in intensity, okay? And we're going to see that main conflict will finally get resolved by the end of the story again, right? All right, but here's where the difficulty comes with this band of complexity. There will probably be more than one main conflict. For example, you may end up with a book that has a couple main characters, all right? And as you go through the book, both of these main characters are moving toward the same goal, whatever that may be. However, they each may learn lessons that are a little different from the other. They each may run into their own obstacles, right, that keep them from, or that are trying to keep them from resolving their conflict. So that's where it gets. So even though we have this, it's almost like these little mini plot lines, right? Because based on different characters may have a different obstacles that are getting in their way. So I want you to make sure you are aware of that. And if you start to get confused and you're like, what in the world is going on? Jot those down. We can see if there's someone who has read the book also, or one that has read the book before. I'll help you as best I can to try to resolve the confusion, okay? But just be ready that more than one conflict may be present. I want you to predict what you think the problems are. Remember, we can always scratch them out, exit out. If you're wrong, it's not a big deal, but good, successful readers are constantly trying to make predictions and make sense of their stories. So be aware of that with plot. Okay, for character traits, you're still jotting down positive and negative character qualities, those likable and less likable traits with their evidence, if that's something that seems important and stands out to you. But you'll notice from your posters that you have these arrows around your character, right? It says external in little words and internal big, because that's what we're focusing on. And it has all these arrows, all right? Those arrows refer to pressures, all right? In the RST band, I want you to begin noticing not just the character traits, but I want you to look at why is a character behaving the way they're behaving. What is motivating a character to act or to say what they're saying? Okay, so these pressures, we have them in our own real life, right? We do things based on what our parents expect from us. We do things based on what our teachers expect from us. We do things based on what our friends expect from us. There's pressures coming from all sides of us in the real world, and it's the same for characters in books. All right, so as you're reading these RST, just start beginning to open your mind to try to sort through why characters are doing and saying what they're doing. Again, when you finish a book, I want you to look back, try to think about what do you think was the most important trait, all right, that had the most importance to the way the story turned out, all right? But the one way that characters changing is really kind of adding in those pressures and trying to think through those. All right, we'll talk about theme in a second. I want to throw in there setting. Remember that setting refers to when and where a story takes place. Okay, now up until now, your stories have had settings, right? There's always a setting to a story. Where does it take place and when, right? But now I want you in your RST bands to start thinking about settings impact on the characters? What kind of influence does the setting have on the character? All right. You could jot pictures. I've had people before in their jotting of settings, they jot pictures of where it takes place and they add little text evidence around for any of the information the author has given them. That's a great way to start to acknowledge and realize what kind of place is this. All right. In 6th grade and higher, or whenever you're at this RST band, the expectation is not just when and where. I don't want you to just write, this is at the beach, or we're in the mountains, or we're stranded in the middle of a big city, all right? That's great, right? But we got to dig a little bit deeper than that, okay? What I want you to think is, how does your character fit in these places? Is this setting a dangerous place for your character? Is it a safe place for your character? Is it a mysterious place for your character? Is it a playful, joyful place for your character? So I want you to think about that. How does the setting impact the character? And what kind of place is it for the character? If you do notice that there are different settings in the story, sometimes there will be a comfortable place for a character, and then they travel out of that, or they go out of that for a time, and it's a much different type of place. So maybe this one over here, this place is dangerous, this place is safe. Okay, this place is fun and playful. This place is more serious and tough and hard, those types of things. So open your mind up to setting and how it impacts your character. All right. As far as the theme, all right, same things we've been building on with all the other bands of complexity. Looking at the lesson the character has learned, making it broad enough to incorporate anybody who reads this book. Okay, those are all going to be really important. A little where the theme gets a little bit more complex in this band of books is that there will be an obvious lesson a character learns, but I want you to be aware of the fact that there's other lessons hidden in the story that the author might want you to also pick up on. So pay attention to the words of the wiser. Remember, that's when we get into a book and we hear advice being given, right, to a character that it sounds like, this sounds like a lesson the author wants me to learn. Okay. Also, those aha moments from our characters when they get to the point in the book and they go, oh, I get this now, or I understand something that they didn't understand before. Okay, so look for those. There's going to be an obvious theme in the story. See if you can spot that, and then see if you can start digging as you're working through this band for what are some of those hidden themes that you think the author also has for the reader. All right. Again, that's a lot of stuff, right? There's lots of stuff to think about when you're getting into this band of complexity. So if it's overwhelming, pick like 1 or 2 sections that you want to focus on for this week. All right, don't think you have to write about everything. Okay, if you want to focus on character, then you can do a whole spread on characters you're learning and getting to know in your book. Okay, don't be overwhelmed, but this is just something to let you know what to expect in this band of complexity. Those who have been here for a little while, all right, I want you guys to make sure you're up in your notes. Those of you who are just entering here, take it easy, sit back, enjoy your book, and just note your best thinking about what's going on or places where you're confused. Totally fine to make jots where you're confused. All right, have great conversations again, and get into your books and enjoy them. All right, and I'll see you next at the next band of complexity. All right, bye.